for the people that get nervous because silver took a stock, maybe, or took a dip, maybe because they bought at the top or for whatever other reason, for a lot of them you can bring up the Apple stock and say this stock dipped 80% at certain points, and being something they didn't know, they can look at the silver run completely differently.
Totally.
Because in any bull market, what you do see are these dips along the way.
Of course.
And the nice thing about gold and silver is that you get to actually hold on to it and keep it to yourself without any counterparty risk. About traveling, I know you've done a lot of traveling. What sort of obstacles have you seen in trying to bring precious metals outside of the country?
That's a big question, and actually we're writing I'm doing a lot of research right now. We're writing a special report that we're going to be selling on the internet for about $30 per report. We've been surveying people all around the world, all their experiences in exporting and importing gold, what's happened to them, how the best way is to go about it. The true answer is, at this point, because all governments are different and all governments change every day about their rules, that there is no sure thing about anything. But there are things you can do. I prefer to use things like goldmoney.com, bullionvault.com, or things like that to put my money in different vaults. They have vaults in Switzerland or Hong Kong. I also like to use things like I'll buy the Central Fund of Canada, which is just a company that owns gold and silver, and they have it in a vault, and you can actually buy it on a stock exchange if you want to, but you can also get the gold and silver if you want to. So, and that's a stock symbol CEF on the New York Stock Exchange. So there's lots of different ways, but what I do is I try to buy gold and silver all over the place, because you never know which government's going to take it away at what point, or tax it, or do certain things. The governments are really fighting it, because no government ever wants gold and silver to be money, because they can't inflate it. And without inflation, you can't have wars or welfare or any of those sort of things, because people don't want to pay for it. And you can't pay for it without inflation. So inflation just fools people into thinking that they're not paying for things like that, but they really are, by losing the purchasing power of the currency.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of our customers, and we've talked about amongst ourselves, about how to get the precious metals somewhere else. There's a few countries that seem safer than other countries, but something that Bill Downs was talking about yesterday was that you can't just export your gold and silver to some other country and then forget about it. You always have to stay up on what laws are being passed in which country, which political parties are getting into power here or there. Austria has been talked about as a safe haven for anonymous storage, for example, but it seems like even that's changing. Switzerland, a lot of people who have tried that avenue have seen that not as a viable option, but as a risk. So anyway, Jeff, any last comments you want to say to people that maybe are just getting into gold and silver, or who have been looking at it as an investment?
The real thing is to educate yourself, because if you don't understand what's going on right now, then you can be fooled by those dips. You can think, oh, I just bought a month ago, I'm down 15 or 20%. And if you don't understand the fundamentals of what is happening, then you can be fooled and you can end up selling. So there's websites out there to educate yourself on what gold and silver are, why the fiat currencies are basically worthless, and why they're headed to being truly worthless. And the more that you know, the smarter you can be about it. This is going to be one of the biggest events in human history as these fiat currencies go down to zero over time. And the more knowledge you have, the better chance you have of getting through that. And then once we get through that, we'll actually go on to a much better world with free market money. And there'll be hardly any wars, and there'll be very little poverty. And really, this system that we've had ever since the Federal Reserve in 1913 was put in has been one of the worst systems in history. And it's actually a good thing for it to collapse. It's just a matter of getting through the collapse. And the collapse might not even take that long. It might just be a few months. And it might be just a little scary at the time, but really it's actually a positive thing that this happens, and it's really the more people that understand what's going on, the better it'll be, because they'll know and they'll just understand what's happening. The people who don't educate themselves and who don't look into what's going on, those people have a good possibility of getting hurt in that process, and it could be quite scary for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. We have a lot of customers who come in looking for an investment, and as soon as they hold those first silver coins or gold coins in their hands, something sort of awakens in them because it feels so real to them. Anyway, this was the Liberty Radio Hour with Liberty Coin and Precious Metals, as well as Jeff Berwick of the dollarvigilante.com, where you can find excellent resources to understand the news and information that you're being bombarded with every single day. So thanks, Jeff. Everyone, this is Liberty Radio Hour with its Libertopia series.